obviously, because like I said, the two-man show, we were trying to just do as much stuff as we could. And obviously, like, even when we did the stuff at your house, we did the announcing. I mean, it was just a part of it that we always kept in there.
Because it's a part of the wrestling world.
Yeah, it's part of the wrestling world. So we were trying to do everything as absolutely authentic as we could. I'm pretty sure that we even came up with the idea of actually putting crowd noise in, but it just didn't work out. So Guillermo came up with like the let's put some music in the background, and I think that worked out great. That was definitely something that I'd give Guillermo credit for.
And they're fighting on this show. Oh my goodness, the champion goes off. That is so high, ladies and gentlemen. He is hurt.
So then, for going into UCW, we decided that broadcasting wasn't necessary and redubbing it wasn't necessary and the music wasn't necessary because of the raw, gritty, and hard-hitting feel of what UCW become. Because, like we would talk about, UCW guys were going all out. They're trying to make their mark on that camera. They know it's going to be there forever. It's on camera, so you want to make your mark. We knew people were being critical and thinking we were such goofs and stupid, and we wanted to prove everybody wrong. So these kids are going all out, you know, in this athletic, just killing each other. And UCW, unedited, untouched, is just so hard hitting. I mean, you just feel, you know, wrestlers wrestle in a ring, you know, springy ring, and believe me, it's hard. It beats you up, but grass and the earth doesn't give it all. And all those moves, every single one, from just a little fall back that people might say, oh, that's weak. He just, you know, all he did was trip and fall. That hurt. Let alone these high impact moves we do. I hope people realize some of these moves that we did on grass, and the fact that all of us are still standing is a sheer miracle.
Oh, now that's a power bomb, motherfucker.
Because let me add, to emphasize something that Ed brought up, was what I want to consider now. You know, this is being filmed in 2006. This was in 1996. This was 10 years ago from this year where we were doing this. This is before any of the backyard videos came out. This is before the WWF even showed Mick Foley's old videos when he was a kid. And we pioneered it in our own way, you know. Other people have done it and all that kind of stuff, but this is before we saw anything like this. So what people got to realize is we were the first to ever, in our minds, or I mean the first ever in our world to film ourselves wrestling. You know, like that wasn't an idea that was common. Like nowadays you just see us on camcorders and you see so many other things, America's Funniest Home Videos, but if you go back 10 years ago, this was some pioneering here.
Well, there was no backyard wrestling. Like, even when we did it, we weren't like, hey, we're backyarders. Or, I mean, it wasn't. We were trying to do what the guys do in the ring. The only thing stopping us is we were too young, didn't have any money, and we couldn't build a ring. So what's the next closest thing? A yard. Yep. And obviously, we've all played sports and football and everything else, so, like, what's the next step? If you could do that stuff in a yard, why can't you wrestle?
And what is they going to lunge right to his knee, takes him down. Oh, he's going to work. Oh!
We had all our characters already set. We put storylines right to the point. We started our storylines, and there was only 3 of us involved. You know, like I said, it was much easier said than done in a lot of ways because there wasn't a lot of people that were willing to do it in the neighborhood. Eventually, you know, as you'll see, it evolves. But at the beginning, there was only 3 or 4 of us, and like we said, Guillermo wasn't really into it. He was into kind of producing us and filming, and he was the man behind the camera and supplied the yard. And there was only 3 of us wrestling. So I remember at one point we had to actually pin ourselves because there wasn't enough people to be a ref. So we'd have to, you know, you'd be down on the mat and just counting yourself out and stuff.
Attempt for a pin, gets him. There's no ref. 2. 1, 2, 3.
But, you know, that was the beginning because it was dire straits, and, you know, we just needed to do it, and to do it any way we could. I think that's the greatest part, is to emphasize, is that we had this huge roster when, you know, in the prime of UCW, where there was like, you know, 20 guys or whatever, however many exactly there were, and a huge percent of them, you know, more than 50% of them were like most people and didn't like professional wrestling or stereotyped it as like fake and stupid and stuff like that. But we got them so pumped up to do this that they literally risked their lives to be involved in this, and they gave everything they had. I mean, we had guys that, you know, like the Tino Carmegas and the Hellraisers that actually turned out some really good matches. And then there's guys like, you know, we call it the match of the century with Lumberjack Redwood, where he had one appearance only ever, but it became history. And, you know, and to have these guys that didn't even like professional wrestling going and doing this was just insane. And that's what makes us UCW different than even the backyard stuff that you see today that's sold for, you know, I think that guy's a billionaire now that started the backyard wrestling stuff. But that stuff, those are all idiots that all loved wrestling, just like the core of us. But they didn't have those goofs that were just part of their high school that came down there that didn't even know about wrestling or anything and participated. That makes UCW special because no other thing had that.
We even had people at certain points like that didn't even want to wrestle. They were just like, if you guys are doing that this weekend, let us know. We want to come check it out. So like it was getting to a point almost where we had like spectators for it.
Fan base.
Yeah, I mean not even a fan base. It's just people thought, I mean, they thought it was hilarious what we were doing, but then like when you come down there and you see it, you have a whole new, I mean, stuff in person and stuff on tape is totally different. So like for people to see like how, I mean, we were killing each other. I mean, because we wanted it to be good and we cared about it. So it's like all that effort like it extends out into other people wanting to like hang out and see it and be a part of it in some way. I mean, we had people like, oh, we'll be managers and, you know, I mean, the way that we used to do the music with the cars. Mm-hmm. Like, at first, that was, like, the hardest thing ever because it was, like, one person with a car. Before you know it, we have, like, you know, like a parking lot full of cars and people want, like, oh, dude, just use my car. And, you know, we can use the stereo and da-da-da-da-da. So it got good, man. So
now
it's basically just, you know, what happened with it was just like the involvement from people would just suck them in.
It was just fun, man. It was just, you know, I call it UCW is just the perfect reflection of my own personal youth, you know, like, and to have this captured for life. I'll be watching this when I'm 50 with just a big grin on my face because to me it was just no inhibitions. It was the freedom of living in America. It was me and all my best friends doing something that we cared about, something that we loved. It was athletic. It was entertainment. You know, I mean, it was just a culmination of so much stuff. And to make it even more perfect, it was the summer right after our senior year of high school. So it's really kind of a going out party type deal, you know, where we're all going to college. Like, people go to different colleges, people move away, people's lives change. And this was kind of like the last hurrah, and it just made so much sense, and you know, it just really fell into place, and that's the bottom line, though, that it was just all out, full blown fun.
Peralta, the feature presentation. Probably the feature presentation of the entire UCW cast. He was the high-flying, powerful, jump from anything, jumped off the slides, going to the tables. He really was the feature presentation at any event, and he was out of his mind.
Well, actually, instead of talking about, you know, the memories, why don't we just talk about how much puss they get?
I'm sorry?
We're going to talk about how many women, because that's all I'm about, and there's not very many involved with him. So next.
He's probably the most athletic member on the roster.
You know, UCW would not have been possible without him. I mean, he started all of it. He's pretty much the commissioner and the star of the league. Just a tremendous athlete, an amazing wrestler, and a good friend.
Great athlete, and one of my best friends, and we worked well together and also against each other, but that was just friends being friends. We were competitive with each other.
Maniac. Crow Peralta. Great technical wrestler. Very agile. I mean, the guy reminded me of Shawn Michaels every time he stepped into the ring.
He's the front runner. I believe he was the founder of UCW.